Hello and welcome here to Carantoc Art in the southwest of the UK. Today I'm going to move away from my animals just a little bit and I'm going to show you how to make this little beach hut tea light holder I've got here. Now, this is a template build and as usual the templates are available on Etsy or I'm sure with a little bit of ingenuity you could work it out for yourself. It's up to you. So let's put this one just to one side and let's get on with it. So before I started, I cut out all the pieces. Some of them you need 2 pieces, some you need 1 piece. Put them all ready. I've also got myself a knife ready to use, a tool, in this case my good old faithful lollipop stick, cut to a point at one end. I'm also going to use a star cutter. This is optional, but this is what I use to cut the stars in the roof, just to add some more light coming out of it. But again, this is entirely up to you. You might want to do something completely different. Might not even want to cut any holes in the top. So let's get started. So first of all, I need the base piece. So this is the piece here that I cut out. I'm going to put it up here onto the banding wheel, just to make life a little bit easier to work with. Then I also want the 2 sides. Here and here. Okay, let's cut from that template there. And these 2 pieces are going to go starting at the back on the side there. Now you want your clay to be workable but not too soft. You want it to be able to stand up on its own. This is just at that point. It probably could be a little bit harder, but I know I can get away with this. So what I'm then going to do is I'm going to score down the side there, like that. On that side, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side. Whoop. And so these pieces go with the long side upright, like that. So I'm just going to score on the other side too. And then I've got some slip, which is, again, just clay and water mixed up. If you're having trouble making your own slip, the trick to making it is to actually get some clay, roll it out really thin, let it dry right out, crumble it into a powder and then mix it with water and you'll find it goes into slip much easier. So then we'll put it onto the side there like that. Okay. And then to make it stay in place, I'm going to need to put a coil up there. So here's some clay that I've got. This is the offcuts from what I was working with earlier. So I'm going to roll myself a little coil down here. Right, you're going to stay there, behave. Right, like that. That coil's going to go in there. Just snip that off to length, like that. And then making sure that you keep it flat on the outside, don't push it out of shape. You get your tool, smooth it down onto the base, like that, and then up onto the side piece. So don't exert so much pressure that you knock it all out of shape. Try and keep it nice and square. Okay. And then just use my finger just to take that surplus clay off and just smooth it down. That's one side up. So same again on the other side. I've already scored there. So now I'm going to get the end of this and I'm just going to score all the way along here. Those of you who teach kids, one of the easy ways I get to explain to the kids how to do scoring is to say to cut crosses all the way down it. They can usually understand that better than trying to explain the concept of scratching it. Sometimes they just go a bit too deep if you do. Put that one in place like that. Give it a little wiggle. Okay, same again. So I'm not going to let go of it fully until I'm sure it's going to stay put. I'm going to get my piece of clay again, roll out another little coil. And these coils don't have to be perfect if you struggle to roll coils. It doesn't even matter if they're not square. As long as you can get some clay in there, that's the key thing. I've got a piece of cat hair in there, so let's get rid of that. Okay, I'm going to put that in there. Like so. Oop, bouncing it off the banding wheel. Right. Then again, get my tool, smooth it down against the base, smooth it up onto the side like that. Okay, and then again, straighten it up, smooth it down with my finger. I want to make it reasonably tidy, this bit, because you are going to see this, because this is where the candle's going to go. So you want it tidy enough. Spend a little bit of time smoothing it. Again, if you're finding it difficult to smooth, wash your hands, get them dry, because it's very difficult to do this if you've got clay dust on your hands. So make sure it's straight on both sides. Lovely. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the front on. So again, I've got a template piece for that. It's that sort of shape, house shape if you like. Worth looking at the clay, deciding which is the better side. Sometimes you might have cracks or something on one side. This actually is rolled out really well. I'm really pleased with this. And this is going to go on the front, leaving a little bit of a section at the front that's going to be like a little decking. Okay, so then I'm going to score again up there. A bit of scoring like that. Then I'm going to score down there again, like so. Nice bit of slip on it. You only need to slip one side. If you slip both, you like to get it a bit too wet. And then making sure everything's square, and then put that into position. So I come up the side here and I straighten up the sides, make sure it's nice and neat up there. And same on the other side, so tuck it in there. Make sure it's nice and straight all the way, like that. Next thing then, again, it's like the sides, we now need to secure that section. So we get a bit of clay. Again, I'm going to make some sausages. I can use. So first of all, I'm going to go across the bottom. So I just put a bit of slip there. Drop that in there. Sometimes if you're trying to get into a difficult space and get the sausage in, it's actually sometimes worth spearing it with your knife, and that helps you to position it. Especially if you're working on something quite small and you've got big fat fingers and you can't get in there. So again, smooth it all down onto there. Smooth it all down up there. Your finger in there, make it nice and tidy. On the side there. Sometimes people say, what do you do with these pieces? Well, actually, I hate glazing. So once they've been bisque-fired, we quite often use them for our special needs classes. Sometimes the youngsters that come along to us are not in the mood to actually make. They just want to paint. So we have pieces then that they can paint. So I've already made one of these. The one I've demonstrated actually belongs to one of our customers who did it last night just to check the template worked for me. The one I made before will probably be given to one of the special needs people we have, and they'll glaze it as a present for someone, if not for themselves, of course. Okay, so again, smoothing it down, we're making sure we get a good join here. With this, I am going to possibly cut out some of the side here to make a window, so I want to make sure that it doesn't go too far. It's not too big a coil, but big enough that it can join everything up. So I'll just stick there just to smooth it off. The more time you spend smoothing now, the easier it is later. I mean, some people like to sand their work, but I find that if I can avoid that, if I can get it nice and smooth now, it saves hours of messing around, sanding and smoothing after it's been fired. Okay, another one in there, like that. Slip up there, like so. Again, supporting it, make sure you don't push it out too much. Smooth it in. And again, I'm going to support the front. Smooth it in that side. A nice strong join. When you're doing this first bit, it doesn't matter if it's a bit untidy. It's important to get the joins strong, and then you can start messing around with tidying it up. Okay, and there, and there. Surplus off there. Okay, And then just smooth that down there. Again, make it nice and neat. So when we come to put the candle in, it doesn't look too untidy. Smooth it all down. So that's the main part of the cavity put together. Next, we need to have something to hold the roof at the back, as in the case of this. So there is a sort of a rear eaves. Now there is a mistake on the template. On the template it ends just across there, but actually you need to add about another centimetre in order to make it level the front and the back. If you don't, it's not the end of the world, it just means your roof will lean back a bit more than perhaps you'd like it to. So that's going to go across like that. So again, I score the top of the walls, there, score the corner here, there and there. Okay, put some slip on, put that in place, and wiggle it nice until it stops moving. Same on that side, and again this is going to help to support the roof and keep the walls at the right distance apart as well. Like that. Now that's only sort of balanced on there, so we've got to make sure that stays put, and the best way to do that is to get a lump of clay. I'm not sure, this clay might be a little dry. Let's see if I can find a little bit softer. A little ball of clay behind it, like that. Get your tool and smooth it in to the top of the wall. Smooth them. This is going to be covered by the roof, so this is just a matter of making sure that everything's strong as possible. At this point, it doesn't have to necessarily be that pretty. Like that. Now let's turn it around and do the same on the other side. Right, let's get a little bit of clay over here. I don't bring the whole block over anyway. Okay, another ball of clay into the back of that join there. Again, making sure everything's straight. Smooth it up onto the eave and down onto the side there. Nice strong join. Okay. Now I'm just going to smooth that all in, make it look nice and tidy. Okay. And now we're ready to put the roof on. So we've got two roof sections here, one for each side. With these, rather like the walls, the long side is actually the bit that's going to go that way. No, it's not, that's the wrong side. It's going to go that way. Yep. And what we want to have happen is these should overlap a little bit. So it's going to go at the back like that. And you're going to have a little bit of an overlap at the front. And this is where the eaves are going to go. Okay, like that. So again, before we put it on, so to repeat, I got it around the wrong way. So it's actually going to go landscape rather than portrait style. So scrape along the roof eave there. And along there. Nice bit of slip. Now this is quite important that your clay is not too wet. Otherwise your roof's going to bow. But again, I think this clay is pretty much spot on. So we line it up at the top of the roof like that. So it's going to make sure that you can see my eaves are coming out a little bit. So I'm just going to tuck that in like that. You can probably see there a little bit of a gap at the top of the wall. That's perfectly right. That's how it's supposed to be. That helps if you've got a real candle in there. It'll help with ventilation for the candle to burn properly. Let's get that straightened up. So you want a little bit of a leaning bit out there at the front. So we get that on, we wiggle it till it's nice and tight. Do the same with the other one. So scrape along the eaves. Where it's going to stick. Like that. Get some slip on it. And attach that to make sure that it's straight at the back and hanging over the front a bit, like that. So line it up with the point at the top. So the two pieces come together. You will have a little sort of gap there, but we're going to sort that out in a minute with a coil of clay. Like that. And my walls are bulging a little bit because it is probably a little bit soft, so I'm just going to coax it back into shape. Make sure it's nice and firm. So now we're going to deal with that at the top. We'll deal with that with a coil. Or if you don't want to do a coil, you can actually do it with a strip of clay in there, but I am going to coil. I'm going to make a nice little round one. Still a bit fat, let's make it slightly thinner. I want it to fit into that gap between the two, like that. Okay, just snip it off to size. Right, then I'm going to paint some slip into there. That. I'll put that in there. Now I'm going to have to smooth that in, but I'm going to have to make sure I support the roof so the whole thing doesn't collapse. I put my hand up inside so I can support the roof and then stroke it down onto one side of the roof. Like that. I'm having to be quite gentle because I can't actually get my hand right to the front, so I'm doing the best I can. Keep it as level as I can. I'm going to use the side of the stick just to smooth that surface off so it's a bit less noticeable, that coil. Same at the front there. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. This gets a bit trickier. I'm going to probably have to do this like this. I don't think I'm going to be able to get my hand in there and work it unless I go put my right hand in and try and work it with my left, which I might have to do in a minute. So I'll get that in like that. Get my hand in to support the roof if I can. Smooth it out. And then again, I'm going to use the side of the stick to just get it flat as I can. And then I'm going to get my finger in there, push that roof up a bit. Like that. Smooth it in. Now with your roof, you can get as creative as you want to, because you could put tiles on here. You could put a pattern on it. Oh. Okay. Or you can, as I'm going to do, I'm going to put some holes in it. So I'm going to leave it plain. You see it's buckled a little bit here under the pressure of trying to do the job. So I'm just going to straighten everything up. Like that. We'll move on straight again. Better. Okay. Oh, we seem to be leaning a little bit. Now to tidy up the front of this, we're going to have two pieces which I got cut out earlier, which are shaped like this, and these go together like that to cover up that sort of messy section there. Let's take that off. So let's score it again. Like that. Okay. And then we paint some slip on it. So that one's going to go there. So it goes level with the roof there. So it overhangs. So you've got this little sort of bit under there. Straighten the roof up onto there. Oh. Same on the other side. I'll slip there. And so they should meet up nice and neatly at the top of the roof. Again, stick it on. There's a bit of a wiggle on there. Now, if you want to be really thorough, you can put a coil up on the inside. But that is a little tricky, so I'm not going to do that. I am going to put just a very, very small coil, though, on the outside here, into that crack there. I mean, you could leave that visible. If you want to be really accurate about it, you wouldn't actually see this being joined. But I'm going to join it like that. Oop. Yeah, my clay might be a little bit dry. We'll see how we go. Spread it across the roof, like that. Like that. Okay. Again, use my fingers, stroke it smooth. Okay, and that's going to make that a lot more secure. Tidy it up. Same on the other side. Make sure it's not bulging too much in the wrong places. Caught it with my finger there. Okay. I'm going to just paint this. You can see it's cracking. So I'm going to paint it with a bit of slip to start with and just roll that slip in, soften it up a little bit before we try and fix it in place. We get there. Smooth it all the way down, and just make a nice strong join. Doesn't fall off during firing. Again, because this is going to be an indoor type thing, you can do this with air dry clay. If you don't want to use real clay, work just as well. Off there. So we're starting to get our structure together. Now, one of the things I like to do, which my friend didn't do there, is to put like a little diamond shape on the front. It covers up that join. They tend to put them onto sheds generally, at least here in the UK anyway. So I'm just going to get a little lozenge of clay, and I'm going to cut it like that, and then I'm going to cut it like that. I can never do this accurately, but that's okay. And then shape it into like a little diamond shape. Like that. And then I'm going to stick that on there. So again, scrape, slip. Like that. Onto there like that. Give it a little wiggle. Finish off that join. Next thing then is I'm going to put on the fence that goes either side of our little decking area here. So again, I've got a template, cut out some little pieces here. I'm going to scrape the end there, scrape the side there, and there. Just slip on it. Oops, this slip's a bit wet, that's why I say, but it's got a bit of clay in it. And that is then going to go there. So it fits neatly onto the end there and then up against the building here. So I put that on, give it a little wiggle, and then get a little bit of clay. And just a small little bit up the side there. Join it. That's cool. Okay, so just join that in there. I'll be quite careful here I don't push it all over the place because it's such a thin little piece of clay. Quite easily mess it up. So get that in there like that. Smooth down. Then I'm just going to bring the sides of the decking up onto it like that. Fix it up a bit. Now I'm going to do the same with the other one. School the end there. And there, and there. Put some slip on it. Put that in position there. And again, try and line it up with the end. It should fit. Let's get it slippy. There we go. Again, I'm going to put a little bit of clay in there just to secure it to the building. Like that. Okay, and then I'm going to push the side of the decking up onto it, secure it there. At this point, if I wanted to, I could actually cut those a bit smaller, a bit narrower, but I'm not going to. Secure that there. Next, we're going to put our door on. Now, again, we've actually got a door frame. Now, this could go in the middle, like my friend did here, but sorry about that. But the problem with that is you're very limited in where you can put your window. So I'm actually going to make the decision to put this over to one side so that I can have a little window alongside it. So I get my door frame. Again, I score it. Put some slip on it. And then put it in position. Straight the fence there. And this slip is a bit wet. So line up my frame so it's straight. And that straight across the top. And that straight down the side. Like so. And again, wiggle it all the way around. Make sure that that's on nice and firmly. Because this is the sort of thing that can drop off if you don't get it on properly. It'll be quite disappointing. Then to make the actual door itself, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the back of the knife, and using that I'm just going to start by firmly sort of drawing some lines down all the way from the top to the bottom to look a bit like planks of wood, like that. Then I'm just going to use the knife to put some markings in it so it looks a little bit more like wood. So I'm just really stroking it with the blade of the knife to just give that sort of wood grain effect. I mean, you can get really carried away and do knots in the wood if you want to. Get quite creative with it. And we need a doorknob, so I'm just going to get a little bit of clay. That's a tiny bit. Roll it into a ball. Put some slip on it. And we're going to have it opening from that side. So then I'm going to put the doorknob on. And again, I'm just going to screw it on. Now again, really make sure you get the doorknob on. This is one of the things that falls off an awful lot when people make these sorts of things. So make sure that's on really tight. Now we need to get some light out of this house, otherwise it's not going to be much use as a tea light holder. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut a heart into the door, so I've got some light coming through there. And I do that by making, now you can use a heart cutter to give you a sort of template. I've done enough of these that I'm pretty sure I know what I'm doing. So I come around and make like a swirl that way, and then a swirl around the other way, like that. Pop it out. And then to make it look a little bit more heart-like, I get something like a paintbrush and I just curve the top of the heart a bit just to make it a little bit more defined, and then tidy up the bottom, possibly with my knife, just to make it a little sharper, a little bit more like a heart. Now, among the templates I've given you is also one for making a window, a round window. So you put that in there. Now this is not a piece to be cut out as such, this is a piece to use as a template for cutting your top window out. So, having got that there, I'm going to mark round it with the knife. Like that, and then take that away. And then cut through that circle. Set through there. Take those bits out away. Again, we're buckling a little bit here, so I'm just going to support it, straighten it up. Right. Then again, I'm going to get my paintbrush and I'm just going to go around till it's smooth. Okay. That's one window. Now I'm also going to do a little side window here. And again, there's no template for this, is it? Because if you do the door in the middle like that one, you just don't have room to be able to put a window either side, which is why I chose to put my door there. So I'm just going to put I cut out a little square, just a little one there, like so. There you go, there you go. And then another one underneath to make it look like a little two-framed window. Cut that through like that. Away. Now let's take those bits out if I can. Hold them. One, two. Goes that way. And again, this time I'm going to use my tool here to just straighten them up. In there. Make them look a little neater. And the more time you spend getting this right at this point, the better it'll look. Now, on my decking, I'm going to put a little bit of a wood pattern on my decking as well. So I'm just going to, like I did with the door, I'm just going to sort of put some planks down the back of the knife and then just rough them up. And here's where you can start to get really creative, because on your little decking you could have something like a little bucket and spade, or you could have maybe a deck chair if you're getting really creative, a stool, some fish. It's entirely up to you what you're going to put on the front of your house here. Just smooth that off. Then I'm going to get my star cutters, because I want to actually have a little bit more here. And having the cutting the holes will allow smoke to escape from a normal candle too, of course. Brace up the roof before you cut. Remember, you've got an overhang here. When I did my first one, I cut far too close to there, so I ended up cutting through the wall. So allow yourself plenty of space. I'm going to cut 1, 2, 3. Now you can cut right through, or you can just cut part the way through and then use your knife to do the job. If you do it with the knife, you'll probably get a cleaner finish. but it is a little bit more fiddly. So I'll cut that one out with the knife, like that. Always cut from the outer edge of the star inwards, and that way you're less likely to muck up your roof. Push that out of the way. So that's one way of doing it. That's not a great advert, it's just a check that, cut that through again like that. Tidy it up. Or this one I will push right through. Let's speed things up a little bit. You can see it doesn't really cut particularly well, but it does give you a marker to tidy up from. And these don't have to be stars. You could cut moons, a moon on the top, or you could just have leaves, or you could just not have anything at all. You don't have to cut this out at all. This is just playing around with it. And as I say, it's entirely up to you at this point what decorations you want to add, because you could also add things like bunting on the side of it. You could add let's see, other hanging decorations on it. I've done some that had well, not so much with these because you haven't got space, but where we've done like a little model boat on the front of it. You could have a little sign on it that says keep off or something like that. I'll just do that, put that out. I'll do the other side later on. So it gives me some stars there. And just down the front now, I just can see, I can see some bits that are rough. I can just tidy those up there and there. Put some bunting on it. I'm going to give it a little bit of bunting just for a bit of fun. So I'm going to get a piece of clay, straighten it off, make a strip like that, and then you cut that corner off, and then you cut triangles. You've got bunting, so I could stick some bunting down here, for example. Let's make it a little bit more, something to put a bit of colour on it. You could do something like that. You could do like a bucket. To do a bucket, you should just make a round piece, squish it like that, and then roll it. So I'm going to have a little bucket there, and coming out the top of it, I'm going to make a little fish's tail. Again, just get a piece of clay. Like that. Okay, so I've got a fish's tail, that's the fish's body. Just put some fins on it. It's a bit shorter. So you can have that sticking out the top. I think I've just caught fish in the bucket. Like that. Actually looks more like a cabbage or a leek coming out the top at the moment, so let's just make that a little bit more realistic. But yes, you can start to play around, get some ideas of sort of things you might want to do. Like that. There we go, our fish's tail. Bucket, like that. Yeah, whatever sort of seaside-y themes you want to do. So that's the basic make. As I say, the template is available on Etsy. The details will be in the description below. And I hope you've enjoyed my video, and I'll see you all again sometime soon. Bye!